Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Really pleased to be at this point of the year where we're launching the Hatch Award. Hatch, as you're probably aware at this point, is a flagship award from Dance Ireland. It's one of the opportunities we have to invest more deeply and also with more breadth in artist support and development. The Hatch Award was established a number of years ago as a single award to invest in one artist to, I suppose, to invest in their ambition and innovation in what they're doing. The idea was to take their career to the next step by offering resources, money, financial space, our own resources as an organizations to support them in that journey. It came with space and an award. And then when we reached the pandemic, we rethought the award in 2020. We wanted to ensure that artists had access to resources to be able to, I suppose, think about where they are in their career, to encourage resilience, to give people space and time to breathe, to rethink where they are at, to take that next step, which is fundamental to the award in their career, and also to connect with each other. Now I can see that my internet is going a little bit funny, so do tell me, Ashanti, if there's a problem with my connection. So the award was then changed to offer 7 awards, which is what we offer now. That includes 3 mentoring awards for early career artists, 3 artistic research awards for established artists, so artists who have had a bulk of work behind them and who would like to take space to research, to think about what they're doing, to take another step, to maybe pivot in their direction or to investigate a different idea about their work. And then we reintroduced the Creative Production Award, which is the award that comes with space and time from staff and financial investment of €7,000 to allow an artist to practically take that next step in developing either a new work or to take something, to take an idea to the next phase of development. But it's about innovation and ambition and really sort of focusing in on that as well. So I'm just gonna make sure I'm following all my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything. The possibilities and potential. I suppose it's really important to us that you are aware of the opportunity that this can bring to you. We would love to see artists who have, in terms of the established awards for the artistic awards, we'd love to see artists who have a considerable background in terms of their practice, and would like to take that creative breathing space. Now, this award doesn't come with studio space. It's a financial award for you to buy you space and time to pay your rent, to invest in something else, to do something, but to take time and space for you. There's €3,000 awarded to 3 artists to think around those issues, those challenges, those next steps. It's really about sustainability. It's about sustainability and ensuring that you can underpin what your life, your career with some investment in research. The Mentoring Award is for early career artists. And this is not just about paying. This is not about paying for mentoring. This is about buying time for you as an artist. So that €500 goes to you as an artist to pay for your time to undertake mentoring. And the way that works is that we connect the established artists who get the artistic award, research award, with the mentored artists, so the early career artists. So there's a sort of a curatorial, a connecting thing that happens there. So we want to get to know more about you through your applications, through your ambitions, through your ideas, and to understand more about how we can connect you within the community. Again, this is about peer-to-peer resourcing, support, connecting the community, and thinking about interdependence and the ecology of dance in Ireland and how we can each support each other and take co-responsibility for that development of the ecology as well. So there's a real intention around coming together, being a cohort of artists that are working together towards sort of developing themselves, developing their career with the support of Dance Ireland. as well. So the Creative Production Award, I think I mentioned earlier on, we want to see somebody take the next step in their production. This is open to mid-career and established artists. So mid-career is you have a body of work behind you. You have experiences of producing and professionally presenting work. Either it's commissioned as part of a festival, in your own tour, and that you want to kind of invest in something that takes your interest. It might be the seed of an idea. It might be something that, you know, you want to prototype. It might be something that you want to invest in more deeply, take to the next stage. The intention is that you will have that space to bring in collaborators. You'll have that space to bring it to, and hopefully pay for people to be in the space with you. Paying the artist obviously is something that's really important to us. So Louise is going to talk through the application process, what we're expecting to see in that, and what we'd love, what people have sort of, what has succeeded, what has not before, and the process of the criteria and the process of assessment as well. The last thing I just want to mention, I'll just make sure I'm looking at my notes again, what we have learned. I think the fundamental thing that we've learned is that this award, in many ways, offers an opportunity outside of the general funding system to take time to think. What we've learned is that this actually plugs a gap in terms of where you might be in your cycle of making work or your cycle of developing your career, and to look at things from a different angle as well. What we have learned is that developing a cohort of artists to bring people together, to connect with each other, is hugely important to a thriving ecology as well. It's amazing what the established artists have learned from their mentees. In terms of reverse mentoring, there's been a little bit of that over the years, which has been wonderful. And one of my favorite times of year is at the end of the year in December. We always have a sharing for the Hatch program, and we invite all the artists back to talk about their experience of this, so more people in the community can learn from their experiences and what it meant for them. So there's quite a breadth of ambition from us as an organization in terms of what we'd like to see with this award. There's quite a breadth of ambition in terms of what we'd like to see from the artists, and how they can make best use of that, this award as well. So I'm going to hand over to Louise to talk through the practicalities and some of the examples, and then you can ask us any questions you have at the end or in the chat as we go along. Over to you, Louise.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to elaborate a little bit further on some of the things that Sheena's already talked about, just in terms of the technical process and also the assessment process. A little bit about the forms and things like you will have noticed a question asking about if you have any access needs. That relates to the application process. So if somebody has any kind of additional support needs, or needs a different way of applying, such as via video, just get in touch with us and we can give you some guidelines on the best way to do that so that you are aligned with kind of the application process. Or if you need a little bit of support in terms of writing or working with it, we have an access budget and we can always give you a little bit of support to work with someone if articulating things in writing or in particular ways is challenging. And this is to make sure that everybody has the same chance to articulate themselves well to the panel who'll be assessing your application in whatever way is most comfortable for you. This year, you can upload your documents, your supporting documents, which is your CV and your links to work, as is the requirement for the established artists and also for the Creation Award. You can upload that in a PDF to the application form. You don't need a Gmail account to do this, even though you might think that you do, you shouldn't. But if you do have any issues, you can always email that to program@danceireland.ie, and Ashanti will make sure that that goes into the folder for assessment, and we'll give you a notification that that's been received. You can also send any further questions to that email account as well, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. A little bit about kind of track record and stage. This is always a very angsty thing for all of us. It's like, When am I an established artist? When am I an early career artist? And we've done our best to articulate some parameters within the guidelines. So do please, and I know everybody says this in relation to applications, do please read the guidelines really carefully. We've tried to give you as much information as possible to help you see if this is a good fit for you. And I think early career, it can be anything post-grad, post kind of entering the world in whatever way you do that. It doesn't have to be through conservatoire, it can be through experience. But we're looking, this is really I suppose this is really an award for people who are looking at themselves as dance makers. And it is about where you are in that particular trajectory. So what we've said about the established award is that you have to at least, I think it's three, yeah, it's three professionally produced works, professionally presented and produced. So that's in a recognized venue, not just maybe a work in progress sharing, or it's really to kind of look at what your trajectory has been as a professional artist. Because this award, the Artistic Research Award, has been designed for someone who's on that journey and who wants to take, as Sheila said, some time out, either to think about a new direction or to reflect or reimagine, but just take time for yourself. We know that most awards are about being productive. So this award is about investing in yourself and your creative and artistic ideas and within yourself as an artist. And in terms of the early career, it really is about being able to having enough experience to identify what your needs are right now. So that is even within the first few years, you may have produced a work and you may be kind of at an early stage of your career. But it's about understanding what you might need to have a conversation with an established artist and have some input from that, to take time out for you as well, to reflect on where you're going and how you're doing it. And we know that in between applying for bursary awards and agility awards and everything else, that's not time you often get. So this is time that we're offering you to think about your trajectory as an artist and where you might want to go and any questions you might have about how you do that. And that's something you can bring to that process. And then that process can open up some other new conversations as well. And being open to that is really helpful. And so we want to know a little bit about you and how you're thinking about yourself right now as an artist at the beginning of your career. And you'll see that kind of reflected in the questions on the form. The Creation Award is different. It's much more directed and it's a very intense period of time. It's 2 weeks with 7,000. And that offers you an opportunity to develop a deeper relationship with a collaborator in a practical praxis setting within our presentation studio. So that's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Saturday. So that's 6 days a week. So this allows you so it's important, I think, to articulate that you're coming to this period with a clear concept and an idea of how you're going to get it up on its feet. You don't have to create a full piece. It really is about you testing the ideas and concepts that you might have with collaborators, with dancers, with performers, with musicians, whatever you feel you want to make that budget work for you and your idea, to sort of test that it works, to get it in front of an audience, and see if that's something that you'll take further. Quite a few people who've done the Creation Award have gone on to be successful in project awards and have developed a piece towards presentation, or have gone on to develop a suite of work out of that period. I think one of the things to think about is in your budget being really detailed. Applications that haven't done well for that have been where you can see in the budget that it's not as well developed, and that tells the panel that this is not something that that the how is not quite there yet. And with such an intense period of time, it's useful for the panel to see how you think this can work. It doesn't mean that everything has to be set in stone, but it gives us an idea that you're thinking very practically about how you're going to make this work. Also, in terms, just a kind of general note in terms of applications, is thinking about making sure that your CV and your kind of context for your links and your performance work are up to date, so that every part of your application, the questions you're answering or the budget sketch for the the budget for the Creation Award are all telling the same story. Don't assume that people on the panel will know you. You could be introducing yourself to people for the first time. So using that space to tell the story of yourself and your work really well is something to kind of think about. And also, one of the things that the panel will think about is, what impact will the award have on this artist? And that's a key thing in deciding who should be awarded, is the maximum impact that can be got from this investment in your practice at this time. So making that case and telling that story is really important. I think, yeah, maybe just to, I think mentoring is a word that we often find can be a bit mutable in different circumstances, but I would say that it's different to maybe having an outside eye in the studio or someone working on a particular piece. It's an opportunity to kind of, for those who are applying for the mentoring award, to talk to an established artist and look at kind of their career as a whole and all the different aspects of it. I know from talking to some of the artists who've already, I was talking to one of our mentees from last year, and they were just saying some of the practical advice on organizing your life as a freelance dance artist, managing your workflow. These are all kind of all the different aspects. So all of that is open within the mentoring process to understand how this can support you to think about your work in the future. I think that's everything I had, unless there's something I've missed, Sheila
No,
or
I think
Shanti.
I'm going to just pick up on what you just said there, Louise, around mentoring and also about being a mentor. And I mentioned this earlier as well. One thing that is Louise has highlighted is the skills and experience that you have as an established artist are hugely fundamental and valuable to supporting others as well. And I wouldn't underestimate that expertise that you will have built up over the years doing what you do. I think we all sort of think a lot, we're all very much in a survival mode and getting on, but actually what everybody is doing is equipping themselves with skills, expertise, experience that supports you to navigate the challenges that you face in building your career. And that kind of knowledge and insight is invaluable to emerging and early career artists. And I wouldn't underestimate the expertise that you might have to share with others, and that the fundamental value of that in terms of building a community. But what we do want to see from the established artists is what your understanding of mentoring is. And that's one of the questions, is like how you would approach mentoring somebody. Because actually that for me is, we want to make sure that you've got confidence in communicating and connecting with somebody else, and that you see the value of that for them, but also for you as well. Actually, what's really interesting is when you see your practice reflected back at you when you share it with somebody else. So what we'd love to see in the applications is your approach, your understanding of mentorship, and your commitment to that, and your commitment to the values that we're trying to share with this in terms of building community and interdependence as well. Yes, we want you to take the time for yourself, but we are asking, as part of this award, all the established artists to commit to 8 hours or 1 full day mentoring one of the early career artists, and that's a really important part of this award as well. So if you've got any questions about mentoring, any concerns, that's something you can ask us now, or email in as a question as well to Ashanti, and we can respond to that as best we can. That's it from me. So if anybody has any questions. Yeah, Jonathan, go for it.
So I suppose my question is to do with the fact that I'm not a dancer per se. I'm an aerialist. who also dances. So I'm just wondering if this is really like if the award is really open to me, because you're talking about like obviously people who are on that professional dance career path and like different stages of that. So is it something that I should apply for, or is it, would things like residencies and things like that Dance Ireland do be more kind of where I should aim for?
I think looking at the guidelines, Jonathan, and looking at the I mean, an aerial dance is a valid dance genre. It's absolutely, we know that quite a lot of dance artists are also working multidisciplinarily. Um, uh, and I think it's more about looking at the guidelines and looking at the questions and feeling that you can answer those really well. And that feels like that resonates for you right now. And I think, if you're talking about the difference between the Artistic Research Award and residencies are more about kind of practical stuff and test, and, again, getting work up on its feet, working with somebody in the studio. Whereas the Established Artist Award is really about a particular point in your career or your artistic trajectory where you need to invest in yourself to take time out and think about where you want to go and maybe supercharge. We all get exhausted from the production cycles and the endless needing to find funding for the next idea. This is time for you. Time for you to think about your work, time for you to make plans or do some research on something. It's really open, but it's really about what we want to see as the benefit for you as an artist. That's what we're really interested in. And Sheila's just talked about all the skills you have as an established artist. Anyone who's done a production and fostered their career has a suite of skills, ideas, contacts, networks, advice that can be valuable to younger artists. So it's really looking at the questions on the form and the guidelines, Jonathan, and seeing if that's what speaks to you right now. Your experience as an artist is very valid.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, I was thinking that, but I just wanted to make sure that, obviously it coming from Dance Ireland and you're talking like specifically, like I would consider myself a dancer, but I haven't been through like dance school, as it were. I know you said it can be an experience kind of thing rather than a like coming through conservatoire or whatever, but I just wanted to confirm that before. As I said, you spend a lot of time looking for like funding and doing applications, and like if I would do the application and it was like, actually, sorry, this is only open to like people who've done this, this, and this. That's all I want to just double check before I dive in and check the questions and see if it's something that would suit me right now.
I think it's a really good question, Jonathan, and I'm really glad you asked it because it gives me a chance to say that we really understand that, within all the different genres within dance, not everything is trained in a conservatoire. And that also there are many different ways of training and earning your expertise and skill, and that shifts from genre to genre. So it's always balancing that, and that's really somewhere where you can articulate on your CV. This is an opportunity for you to talk about your experience and how you've gained it, and we understand that can happen in many ways. So don't feel intimidated by that. It's an opportunity for you to talk about how you've come by your experience and skill.
Any other questions there? No. Louise, do you have any frequently asked questions that you want to kind of respond to in addition to what you've said?
Most people have asked kind of around track records. Should I go for the mentoring award or should I go for the established artist award? I think we've mentioned some of that already. And I know that these terms are contentious, but they do help to kind of articulate the difference between these awards. And I suppose when we talk about established, we're talking about somebody who has already made work, who's kind of gone through a journey already in terms of multiple presentations of their work and is ready to take time out to reimagine and reflect on that. In terms of early career artists, and again, this is not just about timescales. You could be an early career artist in your 50s or your 60s, or you could be just post coming out of training, or have recently started training and have got to a point where you're starting to make work and you're starting to be professional in gaining work. So it really is about maybe thinking about what the value of the award would be to you at your particular point in your career. And I think that's the key thing. So the resources that are on offer are designed in a particular way. So again, looking through the questions and the guidelines and saying, is this me? And if you do have any questions about that, just get in touch with me and I can talk it through. Really happy to do that. These things are not always clear in our ecology, and the borders between one and the other are sometimes can be a bit porous, and we understand that. So if you're feeling any kind of if you want to understand a little bit more about where you want to kind of situate yourself, I'm really happy to have a conversation about that. Just get in touch. And I think, yeah, if you're thinking about the Creation Award, it really is about the right moment, the right time. And a lot of people wonder about that. That's something else that I get a lot of questions around. And it really is, it can be a bridging between a bursary award and a project award, or it can be something that you've had in the works for a while and just want to actually, something that you've been thinking about for a while and you've been doing some research on, you want to get up and running and in front of an audience to see if things are working. So it really is about the right time and having a plan for development as well post the Creation Award. These are all really helpful. Again, make sure your CVs are updated and tell the story you want to tell about yourself. That's the important thing, and not to again feel intimidated by that. We really want to get to know you, and the panel wants to get to know you, and thinking about having that conversation with us through your application, through your documents. Yeah, and just being really clear. We do want to hear about your idea and concept, but we also want to know the context around that, who you are as an artist, where you want to go, where you might want to present work, how you work with people. All of that's important. And the questions are not very long. They're not hugely lengthy or difficult to understand, we hope. Do tell us if they are. But really it's about making that case really clearly. I don't think there's anything else.
No, and I think just also to add to that in terms of the assessment process, there's a deadline, there's a strict deadline for the applications, and make sure you've got your documents submitted. If you've got any problem with that, as Louise said earlier, you can send them in by email to Ashanti, and Ashanti has shared her email address in the chat there. It's program@danceireland.ie. The panel will be made up of usually myself and Louise, and maybe or another or two people from the Dance Ireland executive, an independent artist, usually somebody we've supported through this award, so they have experience and an understanding or a depth of understanding. And sometimes we will invite also an external expert into the panels, but not all. But what's really important to us is that the artist voice is represented on all of our panels. So there will be somebody there who may not know you. I mean, we might have a relationship with you, but the other people on the panel may not know who you are. So that's something to remember as well. What is it? I was going to say. Think that's it. Oh yes, what we expect from you, I think, and we try to say this really clearly, and what we expect from you, we're not very, very demanding. We really want you to communicate with us. We want you to tell us about your experience. We want to learn from your experience, because the more we hear from you, the more you share with us, the more constructive conversations we can have, the better the offer we can make to you in terms of our supports and services for artists. So we do want you to connect with us. This is not something we give you and you run away and you do your own thing. We want to hear what's happening with you. We'll ask you to share your experience in terms of feedback. Maybe there's a report or a blog post or some sort of creative sharing that you want to kind of offer to us to kind of ensure that others are aware of your experience and are learning from you as well. And as I mentioned, at the end of the year, we usually on the final day, usually I think it's around 15th, 16th of December, we usually have our hat sharing. So You must, if you're going for the Creation Award, you must be available for the dates that are outlined in the guidelines for that award for the residency period. And Louise, I'm sure can I articulate what those are. And then at the end of the year, we have a sharing where the person who has the Creation Award will share extracts from what they've been doing. And we will have a conversation with as many artists who have been supported by the Hatch Award as possible this year. So others again can connect, engage, and share in your experiences as well. Louise, do you want to talk a little bit about the residency period?
Yeah, so the residency period that's been outlined in the application for the Creation Award it's a 4-week period from the last week in November. I think it's the 24th of November this year until the 15th of December or the 13th of December, 13th of December. So it's any 2 weeks within that period, and at the end of your residency, there is a hat sharing. So that's the work in progress that the creation artist had, and we also invite the other artists to come and talk, to present, and they could present some research or some video that they've been working on. The way that this is curated really is one of the things, as Sheila said, it's one of her favorite parts of the year. As an artist development organization, what's really valuable is making process and development visible to other artists, and putting a value on that. And I think that's something that our community really value in sharing. When we award the Creation Award as well, we will talk with you then about your plans, confirm the space, and look at all the resources that might need to be in place for that, and a payment schedule. So that's kind of the process of making that decision in terms of availability of space, etc.
And just to add to that myself, Louise, the team at Dance Ireland are here to support you as well. We're happy to connect with you in studio, or outside of the studio as part of that process. We're here to support and your development as well. Just sort of use our networks, use our contacts, use our experience to support the development of that extract, whatever it is, the work in progress you're developing as well. So yeah, our expertise is at your disposal. Any other questions? Anybody else? Nothing in the chat there, Shanti?
No, there's no questions in the chat. No one's messaged me privately either. So yeah.
I see Jonathan's. Yeah, go for it, Jonathan.
Right. Just on the off chance that one is successful in getting the Hatch Award, does it preclude you from applying for any of the other things offered, obviously, by Dantes?
No, not at all. And actually, one of the things that we've agreed, and we're going to change the guidelines we've agreed this week, is that we're opening it up to artists with Arts Grant Awards as well for the Established Artist Award. But it must be outside of the supported, the funded award. The work, the research must be outside of the funded award or support funding that they've already received. We acknowledge that's not the most sustainable of awards for people, as particularly when it's so tight. So we want to make sure that those who do need the award and who have something to offer back to the community have the opportunity to do so. No other questions? No? Well, thank you so much, everybody, for your time and for coming and joining us. And again, if there are any further questions, because I know this is being recorded and is going to be shared online, don't hesitate to get in touch. Everything should be in the criteria and the guidelines. Please do pay close attention and make sure that you share all your documents. Please make sure that your Dance Ireland membership is up to date. We do need a minimum of 2 weeks notice if you're renew your membership if you haven't done so recently, or if you're due to renew in this time period as well. So it's very important that you do give us the time to process that, so you have a fair whack at the award yourself as well. Thank you again for your time, and yeah, hopefully we look forward to receiving your applications.